Once again, it's Rome Elite Sports Network coming to you live from Model Blue Devil Stadium in Shannon, Georgia, with your host, Michael Atwater, and your co-host, Ricky Langston, and the anchor man, Lavelle Hughes.
And we're going to give you what's on this show this week. We're going to talk about a recap of high school football thus far up to this point, then preview some high school football for week 3 and 4 of the season. Talk about some college football. Did y'all see them Georgia Bulldogs, August 30th, 45-21 victors over Clemson? We'll talk about that. We'll also get into some youth football too, Rick, coming up for this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a long season for the Southeast Bears. Man, they played a jamboree yesterday and it wasn't real pretty.
We're going to talk about the Southeast Bears and some more games coming up. But first, let's give you a recap of what's been going on in high school football up to this point. And Rick, what have you seen so far from our area teams up to now in their season?
Well, most of the teams from our area, they're searching for a win. Armurchie got their first win last week. We have Calhoun, who is 2-0. Models 2-0. Adairsville 2-0. We have Tryon at 2-0. And then from there it goes downhill. We have 3 teams that are 1-1, and after that we're 0-2. They got to get it together in this region.
Some teams that who has surprised you thus far this season? What team has surprised you? Then what team has disappointed you?
I think a team that surprised me is the Sonora Bowl.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix, because I've always thought of the Phoenix as the laughing stock of Gordon County.
Yeah.
And like I say, the Phoenix fought a tough fight their first week against the Model Blue Devils and lost by a couple scores. But last week they came back and redeemed themselves against an in-town rival, and I think the Phoenix are ready.
What team has disappointed you thus far?
If I had to think of disappointment, the team that disappointed me thus far probably have to be the Rome Wolves.
But they only played one game.
But you lost the same way to the same team that put you out the playoffs last year, the first game of the season. You let it come down to the final drive of the game, and you didn't execute. So it seems that we didn't learn from the last game of last season so that we could produce in the first game of this season.
So Rome thus far has been the most disappointing team to you. The most surprising team thus far to me is Armurchie. Armurchie won one game last year, and they already got their first victory this year. They have a new head coach, a new program that they're trying to bring up, rise up from the ashes. So I expect Armurchie to make some noise in 7AA. The most disappointing team thus far to me is a tie between the Cedartown Bulldogs and the Pepper Dragons. Now, Cedartown, we know what they lost, but Pepperell, you should be better than what you are right now. We hadn't gotten into region play yet, but Pepperell and Cedartown thus far have been the most disappointing team.
But Pepperell's been struggling the last 2 years.
But Pepperell is a football tradition.
But ever since Snoop got kicked off the team 3 years ago, Pepperell has been struggling at the skilled position. They didn't replace the skilled positions.
Pepperell, I think what's going to happen, and we'll talk about it more, Pepperell, Cedartown, and Rockmart, because in Region 7 AAA, Region 5 AAA, you have Callaway and Central Carrollton will probably battle for the 1 and 2 spots in that region. So therefore, Cedartown, Pepperell, Rockmart, and Harrison County will all be fighting for the last 2 spots. So when we gonna start getting into October, we're gonna see who's gonna pull out of that, and when it becomes those 4 teams.
Well, I had a chance to see Cedartown Friday night, and Cedartown fought a tough fight. They got behind, and once they got behind, that power run game that they have and that triple option, it was no longer a threat because they had to throw the football, and they're not capable of throwing the football 20 or 30 times and winning the ball game. So as long as they stay ahead on the chains and the yardage, Cedartown should be productive.
Cedartown has a game coming up which we're about to get into. Let's unveil our latest and our new rankings for high school football in the area, the Rome Elite High School football rankings. Unity Christian comes in at the bottom. They're number 18, followed by Woodland, Gordon Central, Chattooga, Pepperell, Cedartown at 13. Coosa is another team that hadn't won a game. They come in at number 12. That's all you got to say. Yeah.
Coosa.
Yeah. Number 11, Rockmart. Number 10, we just mentioned the Our Merchant Indians. At number 9, the Rome Wolves. Rome has a homecoming coming up with Cambridge. Number 8, Cass. The Cass Colonels beat the 12th ranked team in our rankings, Coosa, last week. At number 7, Rick's new favorite team. He has their posters up on his wall, Sonoraville.
Phoenix, baby, the Phoenix.
He riding with Sonoraville. Sonoraville come in at number 7. And at number 6 right now, the Darlington Tigers out of Class AA. They defeated Bremen on last week, which gets us into our newly updated Rome Elite High School Power Rankings. And at number 5, the Cartersville Purple Hurricane. Cartersville lost a tough game last week to North Cobb. They lost 27-26, if I'm not mistaken. That shows you, playing a team in a higher classification, what kind of team, what can we expect from Cartersville. But Cartersville coming in at number 5, Rick.
Well, Coach, Cartersville was in the lead of that game late in the fourth quarter. North Cobb was able to execute and take the lead in the fourth quarter. So Cartersville was in control of the game predominantly throughout the whole game. And I think in the end, Cartersville their new coach got out-coached by North Cobb.
At number 4 coming in our power rankings, Tryon Bulldogs. Tryon is in Class A, the only team in this area in Class A. Talk about Tryon coming in at number 4.
I like Tryon. I had a chance to see Tryon when they played our Merchant. And they're a well-coached ball club. They're very disciplined. And they have some key players. And they play hard. They play from whistle to whistle. And I think in the 6-1A, until they get down the road against Atlanta teams, I think they're going to do real well.
At number 3, the Dadsville Tigers. The Dadsville is a team that, under the leadership of Coach Eric Bishop, has been on the rise for the last couple of years. We'll see what the Dadsville is made of on September 12th, this Friday, against Ringo, Rick, number 3 of Dadsville.
Well, you know, I'm a little biased about the Dadsville. It's kind of a team that we pick every year to be there at the end. And at the end, they drop the ball. So right now they're 2-0, and they got a big test this week. They got a big test on Friday. Maybe I'll change my opinion if they handle Ringo.
At number 2, 1 and 2 hadn't changed all year. Number 2, Model Blue Devils. Model actually comes in this game at 3-0. Rick, Model defeated Sonoraville. They defeated Lumpkin County, and they defeated this past Friday Christian Heritage. Model has a strong defense. They have a nice running game with Kel Watkins, Chris Dublin. VJ Saxton is a stronghold back there at safety. Tyler Dean is doing an excellent job at quarterback. Hey, Coach, all they telling Tyler Dean to do is to drive the car.
Drive the car.
That's it. And Tyler has been doing a good job of driving the car for Model. And Model, and I can tell you this, people, Model is a team that you need to look out for down the road in the Class A AA playoff. What you have to say about Model?
I have to concur with what you said, Coach. Model kind of puts you in the mind of the 2001 Baltimore Ravens that won the Super Bowl. You know, all they wanted the quarterback to do was just drive the car. If you give
Trent Dilfer.
you give us 10 points, Trent Dilfer, and don't turn this ball over, we give you a championship. And what's that linebacker that Model has? It's pretty good.
Bishop.
Dax Bishop.
Dax Bishop is one of the best linebackers in the state of Georgia that nobody knows about. He was in on 2 weeks ago. Get this. He was in on 24 tackles in the game. Some people don't get that in the whole season.
Well, you know, I had a parent telling me about Dax Bishop last year when he was a junior. And I was like, man, I ain't never heard of him. Like, who is it? Man, I'm telling you, he should be. They say he should be the starting quarterback.
Oh, for real?
But he's a little better on defense, and that's what I was getting last year when he was a junior. So we'll keep an eye on Dax Bishop, and like I say, man, these Model Blue Devils, man, they're gonna be nice to watch. They kind of put you in the mind of the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah,
they got
really,
speed
they got
in every
speed
position.
The White Hall is another guy that makes some big time plays for them.
Yeah.
They got speed and talent all over the field. Don't be surprised. You heard it here first. Don't be surprised Model make a run to AA because AA football, with a lot of teams moving up, AA football is kind of balanced across the board. I wouldn't be shocked if I saw a Model and Lovett or a Model Greater Atlanta Christian in the state championship. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's possible.
And the number 1 team in our power rankings, which has been number 1 in the preseason, is the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. Calhoun dismantled a Carrollton Trojan team, which is right now, for the first time, and I know in over 20 years, Carrollton is 0-3. Carrollton has played some stiff competition, but Calhoun dismantled Carrollton 34-6 last week. Kalen Riley is getting it done at quarterback. Calhoun, led by Coach Hal Lamb, they don't have the same high-profile names that maybe they've had in the past, like a Landon Curtis, Derrick Rogers, Nash Nance, those kind of guys. They had the Lamb's nephew at quarterback. But Calhoun is one of the most efficient programs in the state of Georgia, Rick.
Yeah. And program is the right word to use for Calhoun. For the last 11 or 12 years, they dominated 7 AA. And I mean, they didn't lose a game for, I want to say, 11 of those years until they got in the playoffs. So Calhoun is one of those programs that, like I say, they just reload. They don't rebuild. And it was a kind of disappointment. I expected a better game out of Carrollton, but after them losing to Kale and losing to Noonan, I don't know if they just kind of felt like their season was shot, but Calhoun dismantled Carrollton.
Don't be surprised, though. You see Carrollton in the playoffs down the road now. They still going to be a program and a team that's going to get there. So don't be surprised you see Carrollton. Now, we getting into our Rome Elite High School football prediction segment. We predicting games for Friday, September the 12th and Friday, September the 19th. And folks, I'm going to tell you, we have been predicting games for the last 3 weeks. And we are horrible. Rick is 6-10. I'm 4-12. But we're gonna look past that. We're gonna look past it because we're still trying to fine tune these high school football predictions. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna give you Rome Elite High School football prediction.
Welcome back. You're live at the Rome Elite Sports Network Prediction Center. This week's games for 9-12. We have 6 games that we're going to talk about and that we're going to predict. But first, I want to just talk about 2 games that are outside of our region that may be of some interest to some people. We have Tucker and MLK. And this is a
Martin Luther King, I have a dream.
This is an inner city game in the city of Atlanta, and I'm going to let Coach elaborate a little bit about this.
Martin Luther King and Tucker will play Friday at Hartford Stadium. I have a dream that Tucker will beat MLK. Did I sound like Martin?
You heard it first on Rome Elite Sports Network. Tucker will beat
I have a dream.
Martin Luther King.
Free at last. Free at last.
The second
Tucker
game,
beat that. Oh, I almost said on the air. Dude, I'm sorry.
The second game we want to talk about that may be of some interest to some people is Clark Central and Cedar Shoals.
That's a battle of the city of Athens. These are 2 perennial powerhouses in the state of Georgia. This is a shout out to a lot of my boys I went to college with from went to Fort Valley, to Athens, Bernard, Witcher, Levert, Robinson. I'm going with Clark Central on that one.
We're going with Clark Central. All right. Y'all document these. Now document these picks. He's going with Clark Central. I'm going to take Cedar Shoals in this contest.
He just want to do it to argue.
But I'm also going to take Tucker in the first contest. Because I watched Tucker last year, and they're a pretty good team.
Didn't Tucker?
No.
Tucker didn't win the state. They got beaten in the state.
Creekside beat
them in the
Tucker.
state. That's right.
In state championship. Okay. Our first game of this week, 9-12 to predict, is North Paulding versus the Cartersville Purple Hurricanes.
North Paulding is a 6A school. They play in one of the toughest regions in all of Georgia high school football. Cartersville fared well and fared better than what I expected against North Cobb. I'm still going with North Paulding, but slim margin. You think it's going to be a blowout?
Coach, I don't know if North Paulding is 6A or if they 5A or if they 4A, because their school's been in existence about 4 years and they've been in a different classification every year. But I had a chance to watch them play the last 2 years, and man, I believe they got 3 footballs on the field at one time. I like North Paulding.
But you going with a blowout or what? It's close?
I like North Paulding by 10.
I'm going with 10 and less. North Paulding to win, but it'll be 10 and less.
10 and less.
That's what I'm going with.
All right, the next game on tap, it's an early homecoming game, and I don't understand why homecoming is so early.
Just don't feel right having the homecoming in September. It just don't feel right. It don't feel right.
this contest we have the Rome Wolves against Cambridge. Kind of sound like a law institute or something, a college or something. Cambridge.
Cambridge is a new high school in the Cherokee, Forsyth County area. This is a cross-rival, cross-regional game, meaning this game will not count affecting region standings. I can never bet against a team lose on their homecoming, Rick. I'm going with Rome.
Well, I was always taught that you pick a duck on your homecoming and you cook it.
Quack, quack.
So I'm going to take the Rome Wolves by a nip.
I think Rome going to blow them out. Then they're going to go out and dance. They're going to nay-nay the night after. The night of the game. Rome by 21, man.
Rome by 21.
21.
All right, the next game on tap. I don't know how Coach Mike is going to pick this game because he's from one of these towns and the other one sits between this town and his original hometown. You know, he's from LaGrange, so he got to pick Cedartown or Bowden. Bowden sits between Cedartown and LaGrange. I don't know which way he's going to go.
I'm going to go with the red and black, man. I think Cedartown to get their first
Both
win.
of them were red and black.
Oh, I'm going with the Cedartown red and black.
We'll straighten it up.
I straighten it
So
up.
you're going to go with the,
I'm straightening up. I'm
you're
going to
gonna
the
go
top.
with the 5-3A Cedartown Bulldogs
Bowden is a double A
against
team.
the 7-2A Bowden Red Devils.
I'm going with Cedartown. Cedartown going to get their first victory against Bowden.
Cedartown gets it in against Bowden.
Well, you didn't predict who you going with.
I just said Cedartown gets it in against
That
Bowden.
don't mean he going with.
I take
Y'all heard that.
for only one time this year you'll hear me ever say, other than when they play Rockmore, I take the Cedartown Puppies.
Boy, that's a shot.
Next school on tap,
Cedartown, I hope y'all heard that one.
we have the Rockmore Yellow Jackets against the Coosa Eagles.
Both of these teams coming to this game struggling. Rockmart 1-1. They squeaked by North Murray, were blown out by Sonoraville. Coosa, kind of surprising. We thought Coosa would be a little bit better than this, and Coosa coming this game 0-2. I'm going with Coosa.
You're going with Coosa. Well, Coach Duff's gone. I hated Coach Duff.
I love Coach Duff.
So I'm going to take the Rockmart Yellow Jacket
Jacket
just because Coach Duff is gone, and I believe that they can get it done against Coosa. Who can't pass the ball, by the way. All they got is a power run.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
This next game that I'm about to call out, I won't make a prediction, and for some reasons unsaid and unforeseen, but I won't make a prediction on this game, but we have the Adairsville Tigers against Ringgold.
Adairsville and Ringgold is our Rome Elite High School Showcase game of the week. Ringgold comes into this contest 2-0. Adairsville comes into this game at 2-0. Adairsville will be playing at home. I think Adairsville will get the victory over Ringgold 21-17. So I'm going with Ringgold. I'm going with Adairsville over Ringgold. That's the biggest game in our area, and that will be our spotlight game of the week.
Okay. And like said, due to conflict of interest, I can't make a choice either way on this game. But I will throw in a bonus game so that we still have the same amount of picks. I'm going to go down to this Darlington Tiger and Kings Ridge. Both of these are private schools. One of them is out of the greater Atlanta area around Alpharetta. Darlington, of course, is out of Rome. Tommy Aitha always have them ready. They always pump. They say there's nothing like a tiger by the lakeside on a Friday night. I'm going to go with the Darlington Tigers in this contest. Our last game of this week to predict, and I guess you could kind of think of what this school is. We're at the school. It's the Model Blue Devils against the Bremen Blue Devils.
What Blue Devils gonna be better this week? I'm until somebody stops Model from running the football and can score effectively on that defense. I'm rolling with Model every week.
You rolling with Model?
Yep.
Well, you know, last year the Bremen Blue Devils gave them all they could handle.
Hey, it's a new year.
It's a new year. I'm gonna take the Model Blue Devils. That's my team, Rome Elite. I'm riding with the Model Blue Devils all the way to the dome.
Hey, y'all heard it? Hey, Model is gonna make some noise, y'all. Model's gonna make some noise. So those are some of the games that we talked about on September the 12th. Is there any more games of notice for September 12th, Rick?
September the 12th, I think that's all the games of notice. We're gonna take a commercial break and pay some bills, but we'll be right
we
back
got
at
some
you
bills to pay. We got
with the
light
picks from
bills.
September 19th.
We got gas.
And then we're gonna
pay.
take you into some college games with our co-host Lavelle Hughes and his Ole Miss Rebels.
We gotta pay a cell phone bill. Got bills.
we back from paying some bills, and Mike smoked them old Swisher Sweet. He wanted a black and mild, but the store was closed. So we're gonna come at you with the picks from 9-19, and we have
I
three
had a
games.
ballboard.
We have 3 games that have interest to Coach Mike that we're gonna talk about, and he'll elaborate on each one of these teams because they all have great tradition. The first game we're gonna talk about is gonna be McEachin against Lovejoy.
McEachin and Lovejoy are 2 6A powerhouses, but McEachin so far hadn't won a game. McEachin lost at the Corky Kell Classic. They lost to Buford last week in Buford. They lost their star running back, Taj Griffin, to a torn ACL. McEachin hadn't been able to get off the ground yet to get them a win, but I think against Lovejoy next week, that'll be an interesting 6A game. These two teams could very well meet in the playoffs when the season ends. I think McEachin and Lovejoy, I like McEachin.
You like McEachin? But Coach, what about this Troop in Carver, Columbus? I tell you, boy, this Carver, Columbus put some athletes out. Did you see that boy run that ball for Cleveland?
Isaiah Crowell, a lot of people doubted him when he was at the University of Georgia, had a little bang issue, had to go to Alabama State. He scored 2 touchdowns this past week against Lavelle's Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh boy, we really gonna get into that. How Pittsburgh had him up, I ain't even gonna get on that yet.
But you know what was interesting about
I ain't gonna get
Crowell?
on that.
He was on the bubble. And then you had a running back get hurt, and he made it as the 3rd string. Well, during that game with Pittsburgh, the 1st string running backs get hurt. So
Yeah.
now Crowell comes in, he scores 2 touchdowns. It's interesting to see if he'll move up to number 1 this week or he'll remain number 2.
Crowell comes from a program called Columbus against Troop. Troop is our hated rival in the city of LaGrange. I'm a LaGrange Granger. I bleed LaGrange High. We hate Troop. I hate them today against Carver. I'm going with Carver. And by the way, Carver has one of the top prospects in the state of Georgia, Jawan Pass. That last name rings a bell to you. If you remember a guy named Patrick Pass,
Number
it's
6.
his son is playing at Carver of Columbus. So Carver Columbus Troop playing down there at Columbus Memorial Stadium. I'm going with Carver.
This
Now,
last
Troop
game,
is 2-0, but I'm going with Carver.
This last game here is 2 traditional powerhouses. Each year when you look in the rankings, they're both there. And I think this is going to be a great game to just go and watch if you just don't have anything to do on a Friday evening. Washington County and Burke County.
Burke County, Washington County, 2 South Georgia powerhouses. Washington County, you know the players that come out there. My homeboy, Takeo Spikes, went to Auburn. Terrence Edwards, Robert Edwards. And now they got a kid down there by the name of A.J. Gray, a quarterback at Washington County. Is really picking up some notice from some major Division I schools. Washington County will defeat Burke County by 2 touchdowns.
You sure?
You had to think about it?
You sure?
Positive.
Okay, we're going to let that ride. Well, to get in our predictions for 9-19 for the teams in our region that we have some interest in, we have the Pepperell Dragons against the Chattooga Indians.
That sound like a dragon. That sound like a dragon.
What you think about that, Coach?
Did I sound like a dragon, man?
You sound like a cat.
I'm starting to sound like a dragon. Pepper and Chattooga, both teams are in search for a win. Where's that game played? I'm going with Pepper.
Played in Somerville up on the mountain.
Chattooga has some twins of the sophomore that you need to pay attention to. Isaiah and Isaac Foster.
Okay.
They're gonna be some good players for Chattooga down the road. Travell Bankston, these guys. I think I'm gonna switch it. I'm going with Chattooga.
You going with Chattooga? Well, Coach,
Oh boy, he get to rubbing that beard.
this game here we got 2 dogs barking at each other.
Row, row,
And I think I'm gonna just take the dog that I think can bark the loudest,
row, row, row.
and I'm gonna go with the city of Lindale, Georgia. And I'm gonna
Oh,
take these
he's
Pepper
going
Dragons.
against me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take these Pepper
Okay,
Dragons.
okay, I like that. All right.
The next game we have is my sleeper,
Oh boy.
the Sonoraville Phoenix against Coahulla Creek. Tell me about Coahulla Creek, Coach. This is a new
I can't tell you
school.
nothing.
Been in existence about
I can't
4
tell you
years. Tell
nothing.
me something about Coahulla Creek.
Nothing. I can tell you nothing.
I know that Atlanta and the Tennessee Titans played a preseason game that one
Well,
year.
I can't tell you nothing about him, and I'm not going to tell you anything about him.
Uh.
So I'm going with his team, Sonoraville. He seems to be riding with Sonoraville. Hey, I'm turning my head on that.
I think Coach.
As Martin Luther King would say, I'm turning the other cheek.
I think since Coach Gentry stepped down and Coach Kramer took over as the head coach, I think Sonoraville gets it done this year. And I just look for Sonoraville to be fighting for that 4th spot in that 5-3A region that they're in. But the next game we have on tap is Gordon Lee and Christian Heritage.
Christian Heritage needs this victory for the Class A power ranking. As you know, in Class A, it's about your power ranking. It's not about your seeding. I think this game is played in Christian Heritage. Gordon Lee used to be in this region. This used to be somewhat of a rivalry. Rick, Lavelle told me to pick it. This is Lavelle's sleeper game. Lavelle actually has some interest in Gordon Lee. I'm going with Gordon Lee.
Coach, where is Gordon Lee? Is
Gordon
it between
Lee is-
Trine and Somerville?
Yeah.
And so if you drive real fast, you run right through your I'm going to take Christian Heritage. I think this is the program. They were on the rise a year or two ago, and I think they just played a tough game last week, and I think they'll rebound this week. The last game we have is your Rome Wolves against Creekview.
Creekview played in the Corky Cale Classic and were defeated soundly at a mercy rule, a running clock by North Paulding, 56-0. I still have faith in Rome, in Coach Franco Perkins. I have faith in his nephew, Josh Perkins, Desmond Johnson, Jock Creamer. I'm going with the Wolves. You know something about Creekview? You want to tell us?
Well, I had Creekview last year in the playoff game,
Okay.
and they just pulled a tough draw. They pulled North Paulding.
Yep, they
They
pulled
pulled
them
the
again this year.
Wolfpack from North Paulding is who they pulled. Just like last week, they played the Wolfpack from North Paulding, and they got beat. I think it was like 55-0.
56-0 running clock.
But
Keep it going. Mercy
Creekview
rule.
lost a lot of players last year. They're kind of a young team, and I like Rome. I think Rome's gonna have too much speed, and it's gonna be hard for Creekview to keep up with the Rome Wolves. We're about to take another commercial break, and we'll be right back at you with the college picks and predictions for the next 2 weekends. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss Coach Mike's undercover team prediction.
We got Mr. Lavelle Hughes. Want to talk about college football, giving a recap of college football thus far at this point in the season, and then talk about some games that are coming up, talk about our top 10. And the first game that we're going to go back and look at was your team, McCole, occasionally, I guess. Ole Miss running Rebels
My sleeper team.
over Boise State.
That's right. I told you that's my sleeper team. Even though Bo Wallace came out flat, with his 3 interceptions.
Threw 3 picks.
Yeah, he threw 3 picks, but he came back in that second half, and what did he do?
35-13 over Boise State.
Exactly, and with that receiver, Mr. Core,
Yeah, they did look impressive.
and then when
You sure you rolling with them all year though, right?
That's my sleeper team.
Okay.
I don't switch up.
All right.
That's my sleeper team.
I hope you wake them up then.
When I tell you, Robin Kendichi,
He's
the
balling.
truth. He's the truth. And then his brother's coming back. So when you get that 1-2 punch, and with that secondary, you never know what you're gonna have.
Now, a game that was later part of the Chick-fil-A Classic was the Alabama Crimson Tide and the West Virginia Mountaineers. West Virginia lost that game by 10, but the score was not indicative of how Alabama played. Alabama seems to still be kind of conflicting with his quarterback issues with Blake Sims and Jacob Coker. Talk about that Alabama game, man. What scared you if you're an Alabama fan?
Well, I'm not an Alabama fan at all, but like
I didn't say you was an Alabama
but,
fan. I said
just-
if you were.
But you interrupted me.
But
though.
see, I said
But-
if.
But okay, if I was an Alabama fan, which I will never be an Alabama
Good
fan.
job. Roll Tide.
What would have scared me in that game is the quarterback situation. But Blake Sims, he actually pulled it out. Coker thought he was going to get in for a second, but Kiffin pulled him back. The defense didn't look so hot. The defensive line and with the West Virginia's hurry-up offense could have killed. But it was mental mistakes that pretty much did them in at the end of the game.
So Alabama did get the victory. The next game they played a Florida Atlantic team and they dismantled them.
Yeah, that was a
we'll
stat
see.
game.
We'll,
That was a
we'll
stat
see what Alabama looking like in a couple of weeks.
Right.
We cannot go without talking about that red and black.
That red and black. That red and black.
That Georgia, you said red and black too, but
Red,
we
but
act like
gonna
we didn't hear that.
Yeah, we
act
gonna
like we didn't hear that. Bless your heart.
I
though.
know it.
Bless your
Thank
heart.
you.
We're gonna talk about them Georgia Bulldogs win against Clemson. Now, let me say something about that game, and I hope you Georgia Bulldog fans don't hate me for this. I'm a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan. I've been a Bulldog fan my entire life. I was impressed, but I wasn't impressed. I was impressed because we rose to the occasion.
Right.
But I wasn't impressed because we were supposed to win that game. Georgia was supposed to beat Clemson. When you lose Taj Boyd, you lose Sammy Watkins, other key players off that team from last year, you were supposed to win that game. Hudson Mason, I don't know if he's driving the car or is he going to get people in or what. I'm kind of iffy about Hudson Mason and then the defense. Even though the defense played well in the second half, we still gave up 21 points in the first half.
21 in the first.
And it was 21-21 all at the half. And I'm going to let you have the floor about the Georgia game. I think this could be the year for Georgia.
It's no could. It is the year for Georgia because Pruitt comes in and he gets rid of the riffraff. Then
Trey Matthews,
Exactly.
Shaq Wiggins,
Gets rid of the riffraff.
Josh Harvey Clemens.
Then he concentrates and adjusts on the second half of the game. And when he made those adjustments in the second half, they shut him down. The run game, less than 40 yards in the second half. You had 15 to 20 yards passing. Am I correct? Okay, so then you have the freshmen that make their impact. Sonny, Nick. Then you have Gurley, the Mr. Heisman, hope.
If Gurley is healthy, Georgia can win a national championship.
They will win the national championship.
If Gurley stays healthy and the defense continues to play, first game under the new D coordinator, and you played good, not great.
Not great.
You played good.
We're going to say decent.
Yeah.
We're going to say decent.
But if Gurley stays healthy, Gurley is a game changer. Georgia can win that national championship. Now, we have to talk about in our recap this ground zero last weekend in Big Ten football. You had Virginia Tech go into the horseshoe and defeat the Ohio State team 35-21. Then, 1,000 miles west, you had the Oregon Ducks, which, by the way, Oregon was down to Michigan State in the third quarter, 27-18. Oregon ran off 4 touchdowns. They defeated Michigan State 46-27. And then up in South Bend, Rick's team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and Everett Golson defeated the University of Michigan 31-0. The Big Ten lost 3 big-time games, and not to mention, if it wasn't for Amir Abdullah at Nebraska, one AA school at McNeese State were going to beat Nebraska. It was 24-24 with 30 seconds to go into the game.
On a wish and a prayer play.
Exactly what it
On a
is.
wish and a prayer play.
Lavelle, what is going on in the Big Ten?
Hey,
they look like they don't want to be in this playoff conversation.
I don't think they do, Mike. I really don't, because they have the hope, but then when they see the everything start taking shape on the field, I don't think they really want to like everybody think they do. See, the Big Ten has always been what? Overrated. So now it's taking shape, and everybody's seeing it's overrated.
And they showed their overration. Is that a word?
No, but we
It's
can
not.
make it a word.
Well, it's
on
a
this
word.
show.
It's a word this week. They showed their overration by losing 3 big-time national televised games last week against 3 quality opponents: Oregon, Notre Dame, and Virginia Tech.
You actually have to put the Pac-10 now in the place of the Big Ten.
And
Put the
speaking
Pac-12.
of the Pac-12, are the USC Trojans back? They defeated Stanford
We're not going to say they're
with a
back.
53-yard field goal. Hey,
We're not going to say they're back, but we're going to say they're making some strides to take back what was once rightfully theirs.
what does USC have to do to get national respect again?
It's all going to come down to that offense. That offense is not clicking on all cylinders. It's not. But you got Floyd on that end that's making everybody turn
Yeah.
their head.
So USC and the Pac-12 are trying to get that name back relevant in the world of college football. Now, as we preview college football for week 3 and week 4 of the college football season, first game that we're going to talk about is a Tennessee Volunteers will be traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Who you going with?
I'm going with Oklahoma.
Going with Oklahoma.
I'm going with Oklahoma.
Good old Rocket Top. I'm going with Oklahoma too.
Okay.
I hate Tennessee. I hate orange. I'm going with the Oklahoma Sooners.
Right.
I'm going with Oklahoma Sooners big. But let me say this: if Tennessee wins that game,
It's gonna be some.
Tennessee can go in there and win that game.
Yeah, they can.
I can take any team from the SEC, any elite level team in the SEC, and let them play against the elite teams from other conferences.
and we'll make noise.
I don't think it'll be a blowout early on. Oklahoma will outlast them maybe late on in the game. Georgia,
But
and,
not to cut you off.
well, you
them-
did not to
but-
cut me
but
off,
them
but
young boys are
but you
hungry,
cut
though.
me off though.
They are hungry. I will give
Well, that's
you
the
that.
point though. You cut me off. You
But
said
it's
not
okay.
to cut me
It's
off.
okay. It's all right,
You cut
though.
me off.
But I'm
You
just
talking about
letting
you
you know.
didn't not to cut me off. He cut me off.
Okay, next game.
You talking about not to cut me off. Our dogs in Columbia, South Carolina, against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, the South Carolina Gamecocks over the last 2 games, Texas A&M and East Carolina had given up over 1,000 yards. Texas A&M embarrassed them opening night.
Right.
Georgia, South
That's
Carolina.
something that has never been done at Bryce Stadium.
And that goes to show you folks, when you lose a Jadeveon Clowney, or Connor Shaw, or Marcus Lattimore, it's showing. And it's showing right now.
Yes, it is.
Georgia, 31, South Carolina, 20.
No, I'm gonna go with because Georgia is starting back where they left off last year with a 40-point margin. So I think it's going to be 45.
Remember now, this is a rivalry.
Right. I'm gonna go 45-28.
Whew. That's a lot of points.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that because Mike Davis is not 100%.
Yeah.
Towns is not 100% back. That defense is really not where everybody thought they were going to be. So that's why I say the score is going to be what it is.
The defense can't stop kids from crossing the street.
Right.
You know that?
Exactly.
Can't stop the kids from crossing the street.
So do you want to change yours? Because I mean, you got a chance right now.
I know because it's a rivalry, because I done played the game and coached the game and officiated the game. It's not, Georgia and South Carolina will rarely be a blowout for Georgia in South Carolina.
Well, it's the first time for everything.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you on that.
All right.
In Jerry's Playhouse on Saturday,
They on strike.
the UCLA
I'm gonna
Bruins
turn the camera off.
and the Texas Longhorn. That's our cameraman has Tourette's, so he was talking out loud just then. But the UCLA Bruins and the Texas Longhorns Saturday night in Jerry's World. His playpen. What do you have to say about that?
I told you I had UCLA to be in the playoffs from jump. So I'm not going to go against that. So UCLA comes up big against Texas.
I'm going against you. I'm going with the Texas Longhorns.
All right.
I think Charlie Strong, this is going to be his signature win in his early regime at Texas.
You have to play catch up anyway.
I'm not worried about playing ketchup.
Yeah.
I eat ketchup and mustard.
That's
so
good. I mean,
not worried about it.
all right.
Yeah, like you saying something that's
I mean, I said something
really
pretty
different.
big, though. Let's
No, I'm going with Texas.
go. All right.
This is what Mr. Rick Langston was saying earlier about the surprise game and the game that's under the radar. People ain't really discussing. Georgia Southern against the Georgia Tech Rambling Wreck Yellow Jackets. Now, Coach Paul Johnson coached at Georgia Southern from 97 to 2001, led them to the national championship. They had arguably one of the best running backs to ever play college football, in my opinion, in Adrian Peterson. No, I'm not talking about the one for the Vikings. I'm talking about Adrian Peterson that played at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern now is a Division I team. They're no longer Division I AA. They come into Atlanta, play Georgia Tech. This is what Rick was talking about. I'm going with the upset. Georgia Southern over Georgia Tech.
I can't go against you with that. I can't go against you. Both of them run a similar offense and almost identical defense. What can you say? I'm going Georgia Southern all the way.
Georgia Southern will upset Georgia Tech this week. Now, we get into games for September 20th, which we'll tell you a little bit more about why September 20th is an important day. But we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back with our September 20th games and our top 10. As we talk about more as we talk about more college football here on the air, a rare Thursday night game in Manhattan, Kansas. The Auburn Tigers will invade Coach Bill Snyder and the Kansas State Wildcats. Who you going with?
I'm gonna have to go with Auburn.
Yeah, I think Auburn eventually will blow that game out. You will see why a lot of the teams in college football, you have your haves and your have-nots. And Kansas State may be on the other end of the have-nots. Which have-nots is a good show, too, by the way.
I don't watch it.
Oh, you don't?
No.
That's a good show.
Okay.
Maybe you should.
Nah, maybe I not.
Florida Gators and the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is Coach Will Muschamp's big test going into Tuscaloosa to take on King Saban and the Tide. Florida, Alabama, who you going with?
As much as I hate this team, I'm gonna have to go with the Alabama Crimson.
I'm going with upset. I'm going with the Gators. Florida 28, Alabama 27.
It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. Alabama and Florida has to show that they're back. They have to show that they're back. With all the embarrassment that they did last year, they have to show that they're back.
4-8 campaign, they have to
Do
definitely have to come back. Now, this is the game last year that put the Heisman Trophy winner, Jameson Winston, on another level when he went into Death Valley and destroyed the Clemson Tigers. This game is in Tallahassee, Florida State, Clemson Tigers. Who you rolling with?
I think I'm gonna go with the upset on this one. I'm gonna go with Clemson.
You going with Clemson?
I'm gonna go with Clemson.
I'm gonna ask him again. You going with Clemson?
I'm going with Clemson.
Let me get a score.
Score 24-28.
Wow. Going with Clemson, the number one team in the country.
Right.
As Lee Corso would say, not so fast.
Not so
my
fast.
friend. Florida State will blow Clemson out.
They didn't impress me. They didn't impress me against Oklahoma State.
They got the dub, didn't they?
They got the dub. They didn't really look impressive to me with the Citadel. And we have alumni in that game.
Israel Battle.
Israel Battle.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they didn't look impressive. They couldn't even, if that was a elite program.
But you got to think now, when they get up, they don't play the starters now.
Right. Right.
They didn't play the starters.
Right. But I'm saying, they didn't impress me. They still haven't impressed me.
All right. So those are our games. Some other games of interest locally. Barry will be traveling this week to play LaGrange College, and Shorter will be playing Mars Hill. Now, speaking of Shorter, we had a part of a show that we did a couple of weeks ago that was some kind of way on the cutting room floor. Well, we got him back here, and he made a bold statement
Bold.
about Shorter that day.
It wasn't bold.
Pan that camera on him and let the world, let Shorter University know what this young man said. Go ahead.
I predict that West Georgia Wolves will beat Shorter in that game. And if Shorter wins, I will do the Ice Bucket Challenge on their campus, practice field, wherever, no matter whenever. What is it, the game is when?
It's in November.
November. Cold or not, I will do the Ice Bucket Challenge. You heard it here first.
He's gonna be a black Eskimo out there. That's exactly what he's gonna be. He gonna be a statue in the middle of the field. So y'all heard it. He said Shorter, if they win, he's gonna do the Ice Bucket Challenge in November. Kind of dumb, but look who I'm talking to. We get into the Rome Elite College Football Top 10. Coming in at number 10 in our rankings, the USC Trojans. Followed by the number 9, and this may be another year The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Talk about Notre Dame being number 9 in our countdown.
Ghostin actually redeemed himself. I'm proud of the young man. He did what he did, come back, took the time. What's the quarterback coach name?
Quarterback coach.
Yeah. And took the time with him, and he's throwing left and right, running the ball like he's supposed to. I mean, he's a different ghost.
Number 8, the Texas A&M Aggies with Kenny the Trio Hill at quarterback. Who's better, y'all? Kenny Hill or Johnny Manziel?
I'm still gonna go with Kenny Hill. Manziel, he ran scared. That's what he pretty much did.
He ran 2,000 yards worth of scaredness.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. But what's the old saying? Can't get scared, man.
True.
Can't get scared, man.
Number 7, the Baylor Bears come in our ranking. Number 6, the Auburn Tigers. They're off this week. They will invade Manhattan, Kansas next week to take on Kansas State Wildcats. Number 5, our Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4, the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 3 in our rankings, Alabama Crimson Tide. Coming in at number 2, the Oregon Ducks. And our number 1 team in our Rome Elite college football ranking is the Florida State Seminole. But according to LaVelle, Clemson is going to defeat Florida State. Y'all heard it.
You heard it here first.
So that's another. Before I go, we had nominations for the Rome Elite Youth Football Game of the Week, which you will see a game every 2 weeks. You had the Rome Middle School 7th grade going up against South Paulton 7th grade. You had Cedar Town's great team going up against the Wildcats of Johnson, and one of the most heated rivalries in youth football anywhere, the Colts of North Rome and the Patches of West Rome. Do we have the results of what game we're going to be at that week?
No, they hadn't come in yet.
I think right now everybody's going for the Cedartown game and the Wildcats. But folks, be at the Boys and Girls Club. You cannot miss that game, Colts and the Patches. Even if it's not our youth football game of the week, we still got to have some footage of that. So we'll have some youth football footage. Also, coming up, it's getting kind of chilly. Getting chilly. And we're going to start looking at some basketball about to pop off. Also, we'll take a look at more softball, more soccer coming up. Rome Elite Sport Network, we're hitting you with all angles, college, pro. And speaking of pro, let me just make a Dallas Cowboys address. We as the Dallas Cowboys will vow to be one of the top teams this year. We had a slip up against the 49ers. Rick, I don't know why you're looking at me like that. Your team was embarrassed by the Seattle Seahawks, okay? Dallas Cowboys till I die.
Hey, you signed Michael Sam. Y'all gonna sign Ray Rice too?
Yeah, Ray Rice, I got your number. Now, you can't be around none of our cheerleaders, but I got your number. This is another edition for Rome Elite Sports Network. I'm out.